Hello, my name's Lizzie. I'm Anglican. In 3 months' time, I'm going to be moving into a convent ready to become a postulant. And I just thought you might be interested in this little story because it shows how human I am.
I will hold your people in my heart.
There came a point when I felt that God was possibly calling me to religious life and calling me to a particular religious community. And when the reality of that kind of hit me, I started sort of realizing more and more what that would entail, and it would entail me letting go of a lot of choosing my own lifestyle, I guess. So that would include things like choosing my own food, choosing my own toiletries, that kind of thing. So as the reality hit more and more of what I felt God was calling me to, I started trying to imagine myself like living with a religious community or living in a convent. And at this stage, I hadn't visited the community that I felt God calling me to. So I didn't know, I hadn't had anyone to ask all my sort of toiletries type questions to, and it's not really the sort of thing you can, when you're able to speak to a sister about vocations and things, you want to talk about the bigger things rather than can I shave my legs and that kind of question. So I had so many little tiny questions that was far too superficial to actually ask someone, but they were questions that I had because I'm not one of these people that spends like ages getting ready or cares that much about makeup or yeah, I'm not one of these people that spends a lot of time on my appearance, but at the same time I don't not care about my appearance, and I do wear makeup sometimes, and I like sort of, I like pretty things and pink, and I'm quite girly kind of. But at this stage I was thinking, well, I've got so many unanswered questions about what it would entail if I said yes, to God, if this is what God was asking of me. But at the same time, I can't make my yes to God dependent on knowing those answers. And I was just thinking about, well, why is it that so sometimes you think I'm such a I care about the world so much, or I love God so much that I'd be prepared to do all these difficult things for God or for the church or for the world. So and there might be some things that others find or see as being very difficult or very like heroic or something that we find quite easy. Like I've been doing street pastors, and some people are in awe of the fact that someone will stay up overnight to help people. But so some things I might find easier, and other things, when I was suddenly confronted with, oh, maybe I won't ever be able to use lip balm in the winter again or something like that, that for me just suddenly just like made me pause or something like that. I was like, oh my goodness, what am I letting myself in for? And I suppose that everyone's got their things that they find easier that other people admire, and then their little things that they would find more difficult to give up. And at this stage I didn't know all the kind of the ins and outs of what you're allowed as a sister in terms of like lip balm and moisturiser and that kind of stuff. But I just remember thinking, or it kind of turned into a prayer really, that my yes to God, if God's asking me to do something, can't be dependent on whether or not I can have certain things that I would prefer. And so I remember thinking it was maybe just as well or good for me that I didn't know all the answers to these like more superficial questions, because it was important for me to have to say yes to God, not knowing a lot of what the future might entail, or to get to a point where I thought, while I was praying, I gradually got to this point where I felt, well, things like, I mean, I could live without shaving, things like moisturiser or lip balm, like my face or my lips actually would genuinely hurt in the winter if I couldn't use them. So I got to this point in my thinking or praying where I remember saying or feeling something to the effect of, well, if saying yes to God means having to let go of things that I'm really attached to or really used to, or if it means having to have some like discomfort of not being able to have such and such, I can't. I'm just gonna have to put up with that discomfort because I can't say no to God. And when you think about, I've had to remind myself a lot over the last few weeks that at times it's easy for me to think about, oh my goodness, look how much I'm gonna have to leave behind, or say goodbye to, or that kind of thing. And I keep feeling like God reminds me that rather than looking in that direction, I need to look forwards or to the future, or to look at what I'm going to be gaining, or what other people might gain if I say yes to God, rather than what I'm going to be leaving behind. And there are various points in the Gospels where Jesus makes similar comments. So I remember feeling that to say yes to God, I needed to be willing to maybe have whatever discomfort it might involve, and then that led to me realizing that if God's asking something of me that I genuinely find difficult, or that has elements to it that I'll find difficult, that then God will give me the grace to do it or live without it, or God will help me. And then I just started seeing things, or reminded myself of the much bigger picture, that here's me sort of slightly pausing or freezing at the subject of things like lip balm and moisturiser. And in other countries you've got Christians who are being put in prison, and Christians who are being beheaded, and Christians who are risking their lives for the gospel or to serve God, and here's me worrying about shaving my legs and stuff like that. So I just find that, yes, I'm very human, and I keep coming across this kind of almost contradiction within me of I want to feel, or I'd like to feel, that I'm quite like I'm a sincere Christian and would do difficult things for God, but at the same time that there are things that I'm like, oh my goodness, that's going to be really difficult to let go of, or if I had to live without that, I'd find it hard. But the things I need to keep reminding myself are that God's grace will help me, and that I need to remind myself of just the bigger picture of, well, looking at what will other people gain, and what will I gain from me saying yes to God, rather than what am I leaving behind, and just that bigger picture of so many other Christians that are going without, are living without so much more than I'm going to have to give up, if that's the right way around, and are going through so much more, are living in such dangerous situations. Some of them actually are literally losing their lives for the sake of the gospel. I'm not being called to do anything as heroic or severe or anything as that. And also the other thing that I find helpful to remind myself of, look at what Jesus went without for me, or what Jesus did for me, or for all of us, and that inspires me. Like, can't you just do like a bit more for God, or can't you just live without? Can't you live with a little less for God? So that those are the things that or some of the things that I've been kind of confronted with, or that I found helpful.